Waitress fired for feeding homeless boy. What happened next will shock you. Sometimes, one small act of kindness can change a life forever, but not in the way you'd expect. A young black waitress saw a homeless boy, cold and hungry, standing outside her restaurant. Her heart couldn't take it. Without thinking twice, she gave him a warm meal for free. But when her manager found out, he fired her on the spot, right there, in front of everyone. She thought she had lost everything, but fate had other plans. What she didn't know was that a billionaire, the owner of multiple restaurants in the city, was sitting just a few tables away. He saw everything, and what he did next? It left the whole restaurant in shock. You won't believe how this story ends. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to like this video, comment your thoughts below. We love hearing from you. And most importantly, subscribe to our channel and hit that bell icon so you never miss a moment of kindness and hope. Be the first to see our latest stories. It was just another busy afternoon at Sunnyside Diner, a small but popular spot nestled in the heart of the bustling city. The lunchtime crowd filled the air with the sounds of clinking cutlery, soft chatter, and the sizzling of food from the kitchen. Waitress Keisha, a young black woman with a warm smile and kind eyes, weaved between tables, balancing trays of hot food with practiced ease. Keisha had worked at this diner for years. The job wasn't glamorous, but it paid the bills and allowed her to connect with people from all walks of life. She greeted every customer with the same warmth, whether they were regulars in tailored suits or newcomers just passing through. But that day, something different was about to happen. As Keisha refilled coffee cups and delivered plates, she noticed a small figure hovering near the entrance. It was a young boy, maybe 10 or 11, with tattered clothes, dirt-smudged cheeks, and eyes that spoke of a struggle far beyond his years. His thin arms clutched his empty stomach as he gazed longingly at the plates of food being served to others. Keisha's heart ached. She had seen her fair share of people down on their luck, but something about this boy struck her differently. Maybe it was the way he tried to hide his hunger behind a brave face, or maybe it reminded her of her own struggles growing up. Either way, she couldn't just stand by. Without hesitation, Keisha approached him. "Hey there, sweetheart," she said gently, kneeling to meet his gaze. "You hungry?" The boy nodded shyly, but didn't say a word. His pride wouldn't let him ask for help, but his eyes told a story his lips wouldn't. Keisha didn't need to hear more. "Come on in," she whispered with a reassuring smile. "I'll get you something warm to eat." She led him to a quiet corner booth, away from prying eyes, and placed a menu in front of him, even though she knew he wouldn't order. Instead, she slipped into the kitchen and prepared a plate herself, a hearty meal of pancakes, scrambled eggs, and bacon, with a glass of fresh orange juice on the side. When she brought the food to the table, the boy's eyes widened with disbelief. "For me?" he whispered, his voice barely audible. Keisha nodded. "Eat up, baby. It's on the house." As the boy devoured the meal, Keisha continued her shift, sneaking glances at him every now and then. She didn't care about the cost or what anyone else might think. To her, kindness was priceless. But little did she know, her simple act of compassion wasn't going unnoticed. In the back of the diner, sitting quietly at a booth near the window, was a man in an expensive suit. His watch gleamed under the fluorescent lights, and his briefcase sat neatly by his side. He was there for a business meeting, just another transaction in his empire of high-end restaurants scattered across the city. But when he saw Keisha help that boy, without expecting anything in return, something stirred inside him. He watched as she offered warmth and dignity to someone society often overlooked. And that's when he made a decision that would change Keisha's life forever. Just as Keisha finished wiping down a table, feeling a small sense of peace from helping the young boy, The familiar sound of heavy footsteps echoed from the back of the diner. It was Mr. Thompson, the diner's manager, a grumpy, middle-aged man with a permanent scowl etched onto his face. His sharp eyes scanned the room like a hawk searching for prey. And it didn't take long for him to spot the boy. His brows furrowed, and his lips twisted into a thin line of disapproval. Without a second thought, he stormed toward Keisha, his voice rising loud enough for the nearby customers to hear. "Keisha!" he barked, his tone sharp and cold. "What do you think you're doing?" Keisha straightened up, her heart pounding in her chest, but she kept her voice calm. "Just helping someone who needed a meal, Mr. Thompson." The boy was hungry. But Mr. Thompson wasn't having it. "This isn't a charity," he snapped, his face turning red with anger. "You think you can just give away food for free? You're stealing from this business." Keisha felt the weight of his words hit her like a punch to the gut. Stealing. She had only wanted to help. She tried to reason with him, her voice steady but pleading. "Mr. Thompson, it was just one meal. The boy is homeless. He hasn't eaten in who knows how long. It's not going to hurt the diner." But Mr. Thompson's heart was as cold as the metal counters in the kitchen. "I don't care," he hissed. "Rules are rules, and if you can't follow them, then you're out." The words hung heavy in the air, and for a moment, the whole diner seemed to freeze. The other waitstaff exchanged uneasy glances, and even some of the customers stopped eating to watch the confrontation unfold. Keisha's heart sank. She had poured her heart into this job, worked long hours with little pay, and this was how it ended. For showing a little kindness? Her voice trembled, but she stood tall. "If doing the right thing means losing this job, then so be it." Mr. Thompson sneered. "Good. You're fired. Now grab your things and get out." The young boy, still sitting quietly in the booth, watched the scene unfold with wide, frightened eyes. He opened his mouth to speak, to apologize, but Keisha gave him a gentle smile and shook her head. This wasn't his fault. As Keisha untied her apron and placed it on the counter, a mix of sadness and anger bubbled inside her. She didn't regret helping the boy, but the unfairness of it all stung deeply. But little did she know, her story wasn't over yet. In the corner of the diner, the man in the expensive suit, the billionaire with a sharp eye for people's character, had witnessed everything. He saw Keisha's courage, her kindness, and how she stood up for what was right, even when it cost her everything. And as Keisha prepared to walk out that door, the billionaire rose from his seat, ready to change her life in a way she never could have imagined. The unexpected twist. Just as Keisha was about to step out into the cold street, a deep, commanding voice echoed through the diner. "Wait." Keisha paused, turning slowly to see where the voice had come from. The entire diner grew silent, all eyes now fixed on a tall man in an expensive suit, standing near the back booth. His presence was impossible to ignore. He radiated confidence, and his sharp eyes held a spark of something unexpected. He walked toward Keisha with slow, deliberate steps, his polished shoes clicking against the tiled floor. The staff and customers whispered among themselves, wondering who this mysterious man could be. Mr. Thompson, still fuming, crossed his arms. "This isn't your business, sir," he grumbled, trying to assert his authority. But the man didn't even glance at him. He stopped in front of Keisha, his kind but serious eyes meeting hers. "I saw what you did," he said softly, yet loud enough for everyone to hear. "You helped that boy when no one else would. You showed kindness when it mattered most." Keisha blinked, unsure of what to say. Her heart raced, not from fear this time, but from curiosity. Who was this man? The stranger turned slightly, addressing the entire diner. "I happen to own several restaurants in this city," he announced, his voice calm but filled with power. And I'm always looking for people with integrity, compassion, and the courage to do what's right." The room fell into stunned silence. Mr. Thompson's face paled as he realized who this man was. Richard Bennett, the billionaire restaurateur whose name was known in every corner of the city. Richard turned back to Keisha, a warm smile spreading across his face. "Keisha, how would you like to manage one of my restaurants? I could use someone like you, someone who knows the true value of kindness." Keisha's eyes widened in shock. She opened her mouth, but no words came out. Was this really happening? Moments ago she had lost her job for doing what felt right, and now she was being offered something far greater than she could have ever imagined. The entire diner erupted in gasps and murmurs. Mr. Thompson stood frozen, his jaw clenched, realizing his mistake too late. Keisha finally found her voice, though it trembled with emotion. I don't know what to say. Thank you. Thank you so much." Richard chuckled lightly. "Just say yes." With tears welling in her eyes, Keisha nodded. "Yes, I'd be honored." The young homeless boy, still sitting quietly in the booth, grinned from ear to ear. He had witnessed something incredible, a reminder that kindness never goes unnoticed. As Keisha walked out of the diner that day, it wasn't with sadness or regret. It was with hope, pride, and a future brighter than she could have ever imagined. And all because of one simple act of kindness. The power of kindness news of Keisha's incredible story spread like wildfire. By the next day, local newspapers ran headlines like "Fired for Kindness, Hired by a Billionaire," and social media platforms buzzed with admiration for her courage. People from all walks of life shared her story, inspired by how a single act of compassion could change someone's entire life. But for Keisha, it wasn't about fame or recognition. It was about doing what felt right. She never expected anything in return when she handed that meal to the hungry boy. She simply couldn't ignore someone in need. As Keisha settled into her new role as a restaurant manager, she carried that same spirit with her. She treated every customer and employee with warmth and respect, ensuring her restaurant wasn't just a place to eat, but a place where people felt valued. Her kindness became the heartbeat of the establishment, attracting loyal customers who admired her story and the welcoming environment she created. The young homeless boy. Keisha didn't forget him. With her new position, she made sure to check on him regularly, offering not just meals, but guidance and support. She even worked with local shelters and organizations to help other children like him find food, shelter, and hope. As for Mr. Thompson, his diner soon saw a drop in business. People in the community couldn't support someone who punished kindness. His harsh attitude eventually caught up with him, and he learned a hard lesson about the importance of treating others with compassion. Keisha's journey became a shining example of how one simple, selfless act can create ripples far beyond what we can imagine. She proved that even in a world that sometimes feels cold and unfair, kindness still holds incredible power. Her story reminds us all, no matter how small, an act of kindness can change someone's world, and maybe even your own. So, the next time you have the chance to help someone, don't hesitate. You never know who's watching, or how it might change your life. Keisha's story isn't just about a waitress, a homeless boy, or even a billionaire stepping in at the right moment. It's about something much deeper. It's a story that highlights the power of compassion in a world where kindness is often overlooked or undervalued. Keisha didn't think twice when she offered that meal to the hungry boy. She didn't pause to consider whether it would cost her job, or if anyone was watching. She acted from the heart, driven by empathy and a genuine desire to help someone in need. And that's what makes this story so powerful. True kindness is selfless. It doesn't seek recognition or reward. It's about doing the right thing, simply because it's right. But life has a funny way of rewarding those who act from a place of goodness. Keisha's selfless act, though it cost her job initially, opened doors she never could have imagined. A billionaire impressed by her courage and compassion offered her an opportunity beyond her wildest dreams. But more than the job, Keisha gained something invaluable, proof that kindness matters, and that even when the world seems unfair, goodness finds a way to shine through. This story also teaches us about standing up for what's right, even when it's difficult. Keisha could have ignored the boy, fearing her manager's reaction, but she chose to help, even knowing there could be consequences. Her bravery in that moment shows us that doing the right thing isn't always easy, but it's always worth it. On the flip side, the story of Mr. Thompson, the harsh manager, serves as a reminder that how we treat others matters. His decision to fire Keisha for her kindness not only cost him a good employee, but also damaged his reputation. His restaurant suffered, and he became a symbol of the consequences of cruelty and narrow-mindedness. Keisha's journey shows that kindness is contagious. It spreads from one person to another, creating ripples that reach far and wide. The homeless boy she helped felt cared for in a world that often ignored him. The billionaire who witnessed her compassion was inspired to take action. And everyone who hears Keisha's story is reminded that small acts of kindness can lead to extraordinary outcomes. So, what can we take away from this? Never underestimate the power of kindness. Even the smallest gesture can change someone's day, or their entire life. Stand up for what's right, even when it's hard. Courage isn't the absence of fear. It's the decision to act despite it. Goodness has a way of coming back to you. It may not be immediate, but the universe has a way of rewarding those who lead with their hearts. As you go about your day, think of Keisha's story. The next time you see someone in need, don't hesitate to lend a hand. You never know who's watching or how your kindness might come back to you in ways you could never expect. If this story touched your heart and inspired you, don't forget to like this video, leave a comment sharing your thoughts, and subscribe to our channel for more uplifting stories like this one. And make sure to hit the bell icon so you never miss a story that could brighten your day or change your perspective. Remember, kindness costs nothing but means everything.